All right, guys, welcome to Wayne's World Garage. It's lousy outside. It was 52 degrees here. It's the end of May when I woke up this morning. It's cold. Should have brought my winter gloves out. Anyway, we're at the sawmill, and we're going to be sawing some more fence boards today for Sam. So we've got this oak log up here, and hopefully it's not too rotted, but we're going to take care of that. We'll get this guy milled out, and we'll make 1x6 oak fence boards. It's red oak, which is not ideal. I'd rather have poplar, I'd rather have white oak, but we have lots of red oak around here. So that's what we're going to use. So thanks so much for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up. Tell your friends about it. We had some good comments about how to make the channel so more people watch it. And I'm probably not going to be going to a whole bunch of shows. I go to once in a while. We'll go to Tuckahoe and some other tractor shows, but I don't do a lot of that. And as far as bling goes, I can't imagine anybody want a whole lot of bling. You want a hat that says Wayne's World Garage on it? I do. We'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see how it goes today. So Tom is our saw sharpener. He does a fabulous job. And if you'll watch him, he carefully takes a file. And frankly, when these bits are finished being sharpened, they look pretty close to brand new. Now, he was slacking off a little bit, but he's picked up the pace now. So he's trying to teach a couple of the other guys how to sharpen saw bits too. Well, good luck at that. We're slow learners. Regardless, when it's done, this saw cuts very, very quickly and straight, kind of how we want it. Okay, before you all get too excited, we realized it also. One of the Chinese lasers has quit lasering, and it's a critical one. It's the one that's on the saw blade or points to where we're going to be sawing the wood. But not a big deal. What we're going to do is we'll figure it out. And it turns out the little power supply, 5-volt, 1-amp power supply, quit on us. Go figure. But I got plenty more at home, so we'll just bring another one next week. As you can see, our 56-inch saw blade does not cut all the way through this log on one pass. We can do about 24 inches, a little bit less than that. So this log is close to 28 inches, 29 inches. So Alan's going to stop sign it a little bit, and we'll see how that works out. couple of you guys mentioned you like seeing a couple of the different camera angles. I kind of do too. So you get to look at Bruce here. Bruce is doing the offloading of the logs. His job is critical, and you'll see as soon as that log is free and pulled off, he gets it out of the way, and this prevents it from kicking back. We don't want Alan to be hit by a board and kick back. It's probably one of the more dangerous things at the sawmill. So Bruce's job is critical, and he's got to be on his game. At the same time, Alan's got to be watching all the time to make sure that Bruce moves the board before he moves that carriage again. So now that this guy's getting squared up on two sides, Alan's decided, let's put the flat side on the bottom of the carriage and the back of the knees. And that way we'll get some nice looking cants out of it. So Gary, Tom, and then Alan, in addition to using the log rolling winch, will roll this guy flat. He's not that big of a log compared to last week's 6,000 pound log. He's still pretty heavy though. Now, Alan's starting to make some nice cants out of this. So instead of sending this thing to the offload area, we've got Tango 3, we've got Gary, who get to pull this guy apart. It's still a heavy cant, and then put the cant ready for resawing on the table. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. We're trying to get 6-inch fence boards, so Alan gets to make the decision, how am I going to get 6-inch cants out of this? His decision was, let's flip this cant 90 degrees down onto the carriage, and that way he can get more 6-inch cants out of it. He probably could have gotten 2.5, which wouldn't have quite been enough. The other option would have been slicing off one board at a time until he got to like 12.25 inches, and then he could have got a couple of cants out of it. But this works out well, and it's certainly up to the sawyer's discretion. So Alan's still in a little bit of a pickle here because this cant is probably 10.5 inches wide and we're trying to get 6-inch fence boards. So we're not ready to take the cant off yet. So what the sawyer will do this time is he'll just slice 1-inch slabs off of this, send them back to be resawn until he gets a 6-inch cant. So he's going to run it through a couple times. He'll measure, you get a 6-inch cant, and then we're going to start making fence boards. Now's what we've all been waiting for. Alan's going to start cranking out fence boards one at a time. But the first cut is always just a shave to make sure our cant is perfectly square. Since the saw and carriage are running true, thanks to all the hard work we've put into them, it is a pretty good shave, and he just takes a little bit off. And now he's going to start cranking out fence boards. He has the option, if he wanted to, of stacking these cants on top of each other. He could have stacked one cant on top of the other, and we would have gotten 2 boards off each time. That, though, would have required a little bit more strength from the geezers at the rolling end where they roll the cants and the logs. But we don't have Matt today, so we're probably not going to do that. So now what we've got is they got these boards, which are 20 inches wide, and they're going to put 2 or 3 of these guys on here at the same time and saw fence boards out of them. So we've got to resaw it. Ideally, we wouldn't do any resawing, but fortunately, we've got some practice at this. We'll put 3 of these on here at once, and he'll crank out 3 boards at one time. Kind of works out pretty well. Then he gets back to sawing the cants. Well guys, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Hopefully you've given this a thumbs up, you've already subscribed, and leave a positive comment. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to limit these videos to about 30 minutes. So, as you can see, there's 2 more big cants on there. That's going to be another video. If you'd like me to do that, let me know. I kind of want to limit them to 30 minutes. Or I could make a long video, but he's probably got another 40 minutes of sawing. Really should take 5 minutes. But anyway, we got a few more minutes of sawing these 2 other cants into more boards. It's not quite as interesting as what we're doing, but it is production work and we're getting some boards built. So let me know how you want us to do this. We'll do 2 videos. Stay tuned for part 2 of sawing 8-foot oak fence boards. Again, thanks everyone for watching, and you guys have a great day.